Okay. Okay, everybody. So we're out here, as you know it, because I did not want to stay in because it's such a gorgeous day today. So I thought that we would come out and do this. Now, today the plan is we're going to be out here doing the reading. Okay. Then we're going to come in, and then I'm going to explain the Gemini in my life. So I really, really hope that that sounds like a plan to you all. Now I want you to get out the Gemini on your Gemini books. So May 21st through June 20th by Colin Bedell. So we're going to continue reading in the introduction, and I also hope that you have a little bookmark um, in in the book where you left off as well. Okay. Now, where we were at the introduction. Let's see. Okay. I can't really remember where we were, but so we talked already about the Gemini phrase. Remember, I think, and what that means. We talked about the lessons of Gemini, which were about thinking critically, about adaptation and finding ways to occupy yourselves and finding things to do and think about, communication, speaking skills, and also relationships and connection. So then we read about the great twins. Remember the mythology of the twins, and how they influence the Gemini, and then the importance of relationships and how they enhance lives and things. And then and then we read about Mercury. We read about Mercury, and as we know, Mercury is Gemini's ruling planet. It's also Virgo's ruling planet. And remember that Mercury is the planet that rules thinking, communication. Um, it also talked about transportation, like transporting information from the mind, saying it, technology, intelligence. And so we talked about connecting it back to mythology through the high land of what's called Mount Olympus, in Greek mythology with the 12 great gods and Olympians. And Hermes is the god in Greek mythology um, based upon Gemini, which means persuasive tongue. Persuading uses its intellect and its words and the points and how it's saying it. To prove and to inspire and to persuade. So, um, so the Mount Olympus, light-filled, positive-filled, fun, funny, humor, lightness, and socialization, childlike, speaking, thinking, doing whatever, talking. Then we have opposite that down in Pluto, down in the other underworld, which is the place of Scorpio. And the god who rules the underworld in Roman is known as Pluto, Scorpio's ruling planet. And the underworld, as you know, rules death, all of the dead, and transformation, and evolution, rebirth, all of those type things. was going with Scorpio. So that was very, very deep and very heartbreak, suffering. Those really, really emotional wisdoms that we talked about, and then also the balancing of Gemini to be able to balance out those two things. I remember the lesson for Gemini about grounding itself to things. And so the lesson of balancing the two different areas of society, remember, the light-filled, um, soft, positive, then down below, really, really deep emotional wisdom. And anything that's wrong, anything involving heartbreak or suffering or an injustice or anything that feels passionate about, it can teach it and it can and really drive people to do um, um, great things, inspire and encourage individuals with the gift of the gap, with their words, and with the lessons that Gemini has to teach, connection, um, and all of the other things that we looked at already, and I don't want to go through them. But so, let's see. So remember that every sign has an element, air, modality, in this case mutable, ruling planet, um, Mercury, closest planet to the sun. And as we talked about Mercury being the closest planet to the sun, it's very, very similar to Leo, and the closer the planets are to the sun, the closer that they impact not only our personality, but they move really, really quickly from one sign to another sign. So let's see here. Um, so remember, Gemini, right now, late spring, mutable air, changeable air. Mutable signs are not the strongest ones. Um, okay, so I'm just going to resume at this little, um, paragraph here. And I don't really remember exactly where we left off, but I'll do my best. Okay, so Gemini, as you all know, is mutable air. So born while the spring moves into summer, Gemini possesses the vitality of an evolution into a new season after another has come to a close. Remember that the mutable signs are at the end of the season, and Gemini is at the end of the spring. So, Gemini possesses the vitality of the evolution into a new source, into a new season, rather, I didn't know why I said that, after another has come to a close. So, we're going to be moving into summer after Gemini. Gemini holds all the transitions, elegance, and all of what you hear and all of the the greenery that you see, like the green grass, the flowers blooming, all of the and just and the feeling of positivity and luck, um, and excitement, positivity, and uplifting kind of time of year. Elegance, grace, just all of the peace and smoothity, and the beauty of the season and the swans through its voice. It expresses what's going on at this time of year through speaking. As the first mutable sign preceding Virgo, which is mutable earth, Sagittarius, which is mutable fire, and then Pisces is mutable water. That's at the very, very end of the zodiac. Gemini theoretically has a high level of psychological comfort with the in-between moments of the human experience. It teaches us to accept the painful but helpful paradoxes, just positions, uncertainty, you not being, sure, and something that looks like it's gonna go one way and it goes the other way. For example, if I had to word it, not being sure what the future is going to hold, change, which is very, very difficult for Taurus. And, Gemini is all about change. It likes that, and it likes the variety and pivot points that are necessary for us to engage in with in order to live a life that has meaning. So all of these things, because you don't know what's going to happen. Like might start really, really successful and really smooth and really positive and fun and all those types of things, but then it might change, and it's just, you don't know what experiences or what the future is going to be holding. So now we're going to talk about the air element. Now, for those of you who were in the Aries clubus, we talked about the fire element. Remember that the fire element, fire bonds with air, and the air makes the fire grow. And so remember, fire is energy, it is joy, it is passion, romance, adventure, freedom, um, happiness, all those type things. But air represents analyzing things, like seeing them and observing them, like an observation, seeing them very, very detail orientedly. And as we talked about, Virgo is the air to the earth, and then making an inference for what we think that it is, really analyzing it very, very detail orientedly, and very critically. Perception, how we perceive, how we think things are, talking, communicating, connection, socializing, and conviction. So, air signs Gemini, Libra, and Aquarius help us choose how to think. How to think, because, air rules mind and communication. So, how we're thinking, cognition or metacognition. So, how to think, what words to use at a given situation, or what using our minds and everything. Which relationships to engage in, because air is all about connection and socialize and relationships. And what high-minded principles we should acquire. And that really goes on an Aquarian field, because they have their own idea, their own individual freedom, original, innovative, and all the other things concerning Aquarius ideals that they stick to, because they're their own person. So the air signs, on the flip side, remind us who we are, sin principles, ideas, and philosophies. So your principles, like rules that are just set in place, the rules that you come up with, ideas in your thinking and then doing, and then philosophies, like certain very, very hardcore and serious down beliefs, beyond belief with own self action, is philosophy. You can look up what a philosophy is and who the philosophists were. But so Gemini represents our first curiosities, because remember that Gemini is the child. It is the child who is curious, has a fascination, asks questions for certain things, and wants to learn, wants to talk, and read, and so fascinated by every little thing. which allow us to engage with the experience ruled by air. So curiosities, with the curiosities, asking questions, reading, studying, non-emotion. As the first mutable and the first air sign of the zodiac, Gemini helps us make sense of life. The questions that we ask in life and the words we choose to explore, because it's all about thinking about words, it's all about the mind, and the messages and on the real lessons that everybody feels compelled, because it was just I'm expressing the ill element right now by talking and teaching, which is very Gemini. Um, and ill is lessons that we come up with. Your thinking, philosophy, all those types of things. Messages we feel compelled to share as a storytelling species, talking, telling, writing, telling stories, acting. Very, very Gemini. By the way, acting is also very Leo. So, you've probably read the shallow interpretations and unnecessary, though sometimes funny, Gemini slander all over the internet. So how many of you have gone on the internet and read about interpretations and what Gemini means? Okay, okay. So in an effort to correct the misunderstandings of Gemini, the book explores the archetype in the many different incarnations, the many areas of life: child, adult, parent, lover, daily life, at school, at work, in the world. I think that's probably all or nearly all of them. So, the next part of the introduction outlines basically what what all of the sections are going to be. Okay, what all of the sections are going to be. So, now what I want you to do is, let's see. Um, so, wonder if I should. Um, so actually, you're going to be reading the remainder of the introduction, which is about 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 pages on your own. Okay, so I want you to read that on your own. Okay, I want you to read all of this on your own. Or maybe, what's gonna happen is, read all of it on your own. Okay, and then what's gonna happen is after I give you some time to do that, I'm gonna be calling on one of you to tell me what each of the different sections, what each of the different chapters is about, what is going to be covered, what is outlined, in all of the the points, the lessons, the structure, all of those types of things of what will be in all those different sections. Okay, so do that now, and then when you're done, we're going to come back.